Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be touching up on the actual being compromised, actually being exposed, actually out in the field. So, when we started working our way out towards the mountains, we had to evaluate many uh, mesa tops, a few peaks. So, before we actually would do our thing, we'd actually do a pre-run and actually prep it and make the proper adjustments to the actual terrain, whether it be a piece of 2x4, whether it be a sandbag, whether it be, you know, multiple sandbags, or actually uh, requests for someone to come out there and grade it. Someone out there actually, just different scenarios we would actually pre-plan or before we actually execute it, so we wouldn't have any actual problems. So, for the most part, we were very, in a very safe place, just for the fact that we were actually pretty up high, and we got to choose our vehicles. I prefer the Cherokee, the one with the big fat tires. I forget what year or what's the actual the model was, but anyways, it was low to the ground, uh, Jeep Cherokee. It was a the tires were just extremely well rounded. So at the same time, it was narrow. So and it had a lot of power. So I actually prefer that to go into a steep hill because of the length of the actual road. Only one vehicle could actually travel it at one time. So, but there was no need for two lanes. It's just one lane was fine. So, uh, like I explained before, these small towns, they tend to uh, not lean towards the law enforcement for whatever their reason should be. So, anytime they actually had an opportunity to actually complain to our field operation officers, they were going to do it. You know, and just before this actual incident, it was during the day, and we were all doing our thing on foot, and we came across a couple, and they had their dogs, and the dogs were actually barking pretty aggressive towards us, and with actually one of the dogs actually almost doing a full sprint on us. So when that happened, I actually put my actual hand on my pistol grip. They called the dog back. Everything was fine. They took control of their dogs, and we went our ways, and nothing else was done. Well, by the time I got back to the station that shift, the story was that I had pulled the gun on the dog and the people. So luckily, my partner was with me, and my partner, we told him exactly how it went down, and that's just the extent that these individuals will go just to actually just to be a burden, just to actually have something to talk about, have something to complain about. So we just had to be very careful. Uh, we were we were actually told over and over again to watch our speed limit through town. That's the last thing our field operation officers wanted, to receive a call of us speeding through town, and that was just his actual pet peeve, to not speed through town. Because if you did, they were gonna get the phone call. So we had to keep that in mind too. So as we are setting up for some surveillance, we actually take up this peak, and we would actually go blackout drive. And Agent C, uh, we actually had access to uh, military. uh, parts, military, So we got the actual blackout drive, the little two, what are the cat eyes, whatever they're called, the whole system, and he actually put them in the actual our patrol vehicles, and he was good at that. He was actually real mechanical, and he was real handy. So he put them on ours, so we actually would actually drive up the peak with no brake lights because we hit the switch just like in military, just with blackout drive, right? So we would actually really go all these peaks with no lights, just the essentials that are needed, and it worked out pretty good. Everybody was pretty safe, and nobody actually ever tumbled down. So this particular night, me and my partner were up there. We set up our equipment, and we're like 4 hours into our shift. Uh, we noticed a vehicle coming up the road and making its way up towards our hill, or actually our peak. And at that time, we call it out to our counterparts on the actual on in town to see if it's any of them actually coming up. And that was a negative. Negative. It wasn't any kind of a federal vehicle. So when that happens, you just have to plan for the worst. You just have to because your backup is going to actually get there within 15 to 25 minutes from your actual call, if you're lucky. And when we were actually out there, we were actually not 100%. We were not even 50%. So there was a lot of actual gaps in between mileage of the actual border. So at that point, you got units from other counties, other stations, just going towards your location. It doesn't matter. Most likely, they're not going to make it to. They'll get called back, but that is irrelevant. These units will break out from their station, their sector, and they'll actually go towards you just in case you need backup. And it was very efficient. It was very efficient, and you actually and that's going to come into play in a lot of my stories that are going to be coming up in the next months because I'm kind of spreading these actual the most interesting ones to um just regular stories. I just kind of shuffle them up instead of giving all the good ones all at once. Just kind of shuffle them up throughout the channel. So uh, when we were actually up on top of the hill, we were getting ready. We were already dismounted from the vehicle. We were actually set up to intercept them before they could see us. And which we did. We lit them up before they would actually turn up into the top. And we scared them. They were startled. They were startled, and they turned around. They weren't happy about turning around. They were just local kids, but they turned around, and we were actually compromised, and so was our equipment. And that's something that we would really try to not have the public actually see the type of electronics we were actually using. And they didn't actually see the actual unit, but just kind of they had an idea of what we were up there, what we were doing up there actually, right? So um, they turned around and then they went back. They went back down the hill, and of course we cleared the channel with all the actual units. And one unit did keep responding, and he met them down at the actual bottom, just in case anything were to have happened. And that's just another quick one. If you guys like and hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys.